I, 26 female, suffer from migraines and type 1 diabetes, so my husband, 32, and I were advised not to try and get pregnant due to my lack of control of my blood sugars. Well, it happened, and it sucks, although I've been monitoring it and doing much better. Dear husband cannot iron. I tried to teach him and it didn't work. His tops need ironing, otherwise he doesn't look presentable, and he gets angry. And when he gets angry, so do I. I ask my husband constantly to turn the sleeves of his tops the right way in. He wears 2 to 3 tops a day, so I'm ironing 10 tops each week at minimum, and it just gets so annoying to constantly be turning in the sleeves. I ask him to unload the dishwasher and get rid of the rubbish once a week. I do it the rest of the time. Sometimes he does his own laundry and picks up food shopping if I ask. It's a work in progress. Unfortunately, a slow one. Today, the rubbish wasn't emptied, and when I opened a cupboard, a few plates fell out and one fell on me, which hurts more than it sounds. Later, I had a migraine. I asked him to keep the lights off and keep it quiet, and he insisted on playing loud music and turning the lights on. He does have headphones, so I don't know why he insists on playing music out loud. I've asked so many times. I just lost it. I'm so uncomfortable, and it's like I feel like I asked the minimum. So I told him I wouldn't be having 2 children and asked him to leave. He wouldn't, so I texted my brothers and they came and made him leave. Nothing physical, they just wouldn't leave until he left, and my husband doesn't like them, so it didn't take too much of an awkward encounter to make him go. He's texting me and saying I'm the idiot because I overreacted and made him stay at a hotel. He says I went nuclear and can't do that when I have the baby. He's insisting I apologize. Am I the idiot? It's very possible I overreacted, especially because it's his house too. Not the idiot. Stop ironing his shirts, girl. You're pregnant with a serious, life-threatening medical condition. He isn't even doing the bare minimum to be a decent partner. I'm so proud of you for kicking him out and for calling your brothers for help, and I'm so glad they and potentially the rest of your family are there to support you. That's so huge. I agree, and I say this as a man myself. He is mistreating you. I would never think of doing that to my partner, even if she was in perfect health, let alone pregnant and having type 1 diabetes. I hope he can get a grip and actually man up, so to speak. Dishwasher, shirts, headphones. Damn, these are barely any tasks. I cannot comprehend how demanding the bare minimum becomes too much. I had no idea women still iron their husband's shirts. I thought that had died out even before my parents married in the late 70s. He is making your life worse by being with you. Without him, you will have less work and be happier. You were right. You would have 2 children. You deserve a life partner. If he needs his shirts to be ironed, he can do it or hire it out. Not allowing you to rest with a migraine. Normal people are more considerate of strangers than he was of you. That was really cruel and hateful as well as harmful. Seriously, who irons clothes? Heck, who irons regularly? For that matter, why can't he do his own laundry? OP, your partner is terrible though. He doesn't love you. He loves the convenience of this relationship. My ex was like this. He told me he loved me more than anything, but his actions were the opposite. This is classic weaponized incompetence. If he keeps doing things wrong, you will stop asking him. The loud music when you have a migraine is just being an idiot for the sake of being an idiot. The baby won't ever be this much of an idiot unless they grow up watching how badly your husband treats you, and they mimic it. Honestly, I cannot for the life of me comprehend why you're married to someone like that. You deserve so much better. Congratulations on taking that first step. My wife, 41, and I, 43 male, have lived on our street for years with our 2 boys, James, tween, and Sam, younger child. Every Saturday morning, Sam and I have a ritual. He calls them our dude walks. We look for spiders, dig in the mud, and stop at our neighbourhood park to play. It's a stand-up meet-up for a bunch of parents in the area. Recently, a new family moved into the next block over. The mother mentioned that she had 2 boys too, Kyle, a young teen, and Aiden, a younger child. I told her about the Saturday morning park group in case she wanted to meet some neighbours. When she showed up with Aiden, it was clear he had special needs. The mom was friendly, she sat with all the parents while the kids played. Aiden is an enthusiastic player. Loud noises, banging on things, getting up in the other kids' faces. The mom was good about correcting him and he wasn't aggressive, just excited. The other kids are wary when he flails, but they include him in plays still. One Saturday, he was having an especially tough day. I called Sam over for a snack. He said, "I don't want to play with Aiden. Can we go home?" So we left. The next day, Aiden's mom came to my door. She told me that I should have talked to him about differently abled people instead of just abandoning Aiden. We agreed to talk to Sam. The next weekend, Sam said hi to Aiden and they played together a bit. But when Aiden got loud again, Sam retreated to the highest platform where Aiden was scared to go. When Aiden asked him to be his partner for a game, Sam said, "No, thank you." I felt that was fine. My wife still felt bad, so she invited them over. Aiden had one meltdown, but other than that, it went fine. Afterwards, Sam asked, please could Aiden not come over again? I asked James what he thought of Kyle, and he said the kid was obnoxious and didn't smell great. The next weekend, Aiden destroyed my son's favourite toy. He snapped the arms and legs off. Sam yelled, "You are a very mean little boy." I didn't make him apologise, we just left. Now, instead of going out in the morning, we go on Saturday afternoon after Aiden has left the park. After a few weeks, some others started joining us. We didn't discuss why, but I suspect they didn't all shift their weekend routine around solely because they missed my sparkling personality. Aiden's mom eventually got wind of it. I don't know how. She wrote us a long, heartfelt letter. She felt I hadn't done enough to discourage Sam from ostracizing Aiden, and that my pull in the neighborhood was influencing others to avoid her son now too. Sam has tried his best. He's repeatedly verbalized his need for boundaries from Aiden to us. James has also been clear that he doesn't like his brother Kyle. As long as both of my kids treat them with respect, I'm satisfied. Unfortunately, I can't control what the other parents choose to do. We'll continue being friendly and good neighbours if they need a hand, but not play with them. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. OP, I have a child with special needs. I think there has to be some patience with children in general, but especially special need kids. But that doesn't trump everyone else's needs. My son has met other kids with special needs who would not respect his personal bubble, no matter how many times he reminded them, or who would spit on him, break his stuff, etc. We gave those kids a chance, but distanced ourselves when it didn't get better. There's being understanding, and then there's ignoring our kids' boundaries. You did the right thing for your child. Have to agree. You fostered an opportunity for them to engage, but it's not just the younger brother your sons don't like. Also, his breaking the toy should have been brought up to his mother. He's still learning also, and he's learning on a different path than most are used to, but ignoring that action wasn't really the best move, in my honest opinion. Take it from someone who is autistic and was, therefore, a special needs child myself once. Not the idiot. I know my situation is different because my mother never even acknowledged that I was special needs, but I hated how she forced everyone around me to interact with me. Every birthday she invited all my classmates to these elaborate birthday parties I didn't want to save face and force socialization. I was miserable. Nothing is more lonely than the people around you essentially being forced to spend time with you. Special needs or not, a kid can pick up on that, and it sucks for all parties involved. 3 years ago, my wife and kids wore me down and I agreed to let them get a dog. I'm not a dog person. They seemed fine, but they're just not for me. The deal was that I wouldn't have to walk it or clean up after it and that they would take care of it. It went fine for about a year and a half, but they lost most interest once the damn thing was out of its puppy phase. So I've been walking it for about 2 years because it needs exercise. I have to buy food because my wife has forgotten. I have to walk around the backyard before I mow to ensure I'm not going to run over its turds. I'm done. I came home yesterday and it had chewed up a pair of my shoes. I waited until dinner and then I laid down the law. The poor thing is going stir crazy. It's used to having their attention and stuff all the time. Now that they can do other stuff, they're ignoring it. It isn't fair to the dog and it isn't fair to me. I said they could play with it in the backyard if they didn't have time to walk it, but that if I found any turds back there, I was hiring a service to keep the yard clean, but the money was coming out of their allowances or the house budget. I said I wasn't buying any more food. If there was no food and the dog wasn't fed, I would be hiring someone to watch the dog, and once again, they would be paying for it. They got upset with me because the dog likes me and it's obviously my dog. But of course the thing likes me. I take care of it, which I don't want to do. So I brought out our agreement, which I made them all sign. Not my responsibility. I said they had 3 choices. Take care of the dog, rehome the dog, or pay someone else to take care of the dog. They all think I'm being too harsh, but I don't think so. I didn't want it in the first place. I've already checked with a friend of mine. She likes dogs and has agreed to take it if my family cannot follow through. My wife says that I'm being an idiot with this ultimatum. I think it's fair. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is precisely why I never got a dog. I knew that if I did, no matter the promises, it would end up being my dog. Why? Because I'm the one in the family that takes care of whatever isn't handled by others. Every dad who is not a dog person should read this story to understand why they never should let themselves be worn down. You were absolutely right in what you did. You didn't give an ultimatum. Instead, you confronted them with the responsibility they promised to have. These are the consequences of their actions. Yeah, considering how you refer to the dog as it, you really aren't a dog person, and it was unfair of them to dump the responsibility for taking care of the dog onto you. It's unfair and irresponsible to the person taking care of the dog and the dog itself. Pets are not toys or accessories that can be discarded on a whim. The dog is a living soul with feelings. You have the dog's best interest, so rehome it to your friend. Rehome it ASAP. Don't just wait. Agree. Rehome the dog ASAP. It deserves to be in an environment where everyone loves and takes care of it. Your kids will pull their weight just long enough for you to let your guard down. Then you'll be right back in this position. With your friend, it sounds like your kids can still visit and play with the dog, which seems like what they want, a toy and not a pet. My oldest son Ethan is getting married to his fiancée Leah soon. They both have kids from their previous marriages. My son has Mia, teen, and Leah has Jake, teen. I also have another son, Henry, who has Samuel, nearly an adult. Ethan and Leah decided to bring Jake this Christmas to introduce him to our family. He warned us that Jake's had a very hard life and he might say rude things. Ethan asked us to please just ignore his attitude, and we agreed. It was worse than he said. Jake was rude the entire time, saying things to make everyone upset. We didn't say anything, but Henry and Sam looked really angry. I don't know what happened, but Jake said something to Sam that made Henry mad. After that, he stood up and said he won't stay here and let his son be bullied, and said either Jake has to go or they will. Mia said if we ask Jake to go, she will go with him. I told Henry that I was sorry, but I wasn't kicking Jake and Mia out, so if he really couldn't stay, then he needed to be the one to leave. He called me an idiot and took Sam and left. We haven't talked since then, and he's expecting an apology. Am I the idiot for telling my son and grandson they should leave? You are the idiot. Dealing with trauma doesn't mean you get to be an idiot. If this is how their first meeting turned out, you're in for quite a ride. Jake's hard childhood is not an excuse to treat people like crap. You kicked your son and grandson out to avoid kicking out the person actually causing the problem. I wouldn't come back. I reckon it's the granddaughter that OP favours. Judging from the characters in this story, the granddaughter is the only female offspring OP has, likely making her the golden child. Why else would OP bring up that Mia said she would leave with Jake if Jake has to go? I don't know exactly what happened. Why didn't you ask? How can you make a decision without even knowing what happened? You're upset because he gave you an ultimatum, but so did Mia. It's so obvious you're playing favourites. You should have asked your son to take Jake home. He likely needs counselling not to be enabled. OP, we know which son you favour. You are the idiot for agreeing to let Jake be rude without consequences. I, 22 female, have been with my boyfriend, 23, for almost 3 years now. In those 3 years, he met basically my entire family. I have a very big, very close-knit family. On the flip side, his family is much smaller and much less close-knit. He has an estranged sister with who his mom forbids him from having a relationship, a couple of aunts that he hasn't seen in a while, and a grandfather who is really getting up there in age that he hasn't seen since he was a kid. I've only met his parents. My boyfriend had a dream that his grandfather died, which spooked him, so he reached out to his grandfather that same day. He discovered that his grandfather was not doing great health-wise, so he decided to visit him. He picked a time to go and had the trip all planned. When he first started planning the trip, I said I'd love to help him plan it and go with him. I thought he could use some support. I mean, he's going to see his dying grandfather who he hasn't seen in years. It seems like it might be sort of emotionally tolling. He was very against the idea of me going, and it seemed to upset him that I had even suggested it. He said he just wanted to have his own time with his grandfather. I completely understood this and backed off right away. Now, here's where I think I might be the idiot. I recently learned he's taking a friend with him on this trip. Apparently, there are a lot of rock climbing opportunities in the state where his grandfather lives, and they're going to take advantage of that on this trip. I will admit this rubbed me the wrong way and I was upset, so I brought the subject up again because I was pretty annoyed, and he got mad and told me, and I quote, to plan my own trips and stop trying to hitchhike on mine. Like, what? Then he said I could invite him on a trip I plan, but I'm not going on this one with him and to get over it. I was mad. I was upset. I felt angry and dismissed. So I booked an all-inclusive trip to Mexico for about 2 months after his trip to see his grandfather, and I didn't invite him. I'm going to go and spend time being warm and getting tipsy on a beach. He thinks it was petty of me to do that and not ask if he wants to come too. He claims I'm dismissive of the fact that he wants to visit his grandfather without me there. He says this trip is way different than the one he's going on. I told him to plan his own trips and stop trying to hitchhike on mine. He wasn't impressed. Am I the idiot for planning this trip and not asking if he wants to come? Not the idiot. Petty, but this is a case of mess around and find out. If he was only seeing his dying grandfather and wanted time alone with him to reconnect, it would be okay. But then he invited a friend to go rock climbing while there and excluded you. He was petty first and is getting his just rewards. Enjoy the beach. Some will say it's petty, and maybe it is, but I also think it's healthy to give yourself that time away from a partner and just be with yourself when you're with someone who isn't really appreciating you or being as considerate as they should be. Your time away from him lets you see just the kind of partner he is. You deserve better, OP. Yep, I don't think this relationship is worth all that. It doesn't sound like it's a good relationship at all, since he's just lying straight out to you and expects you to take it. And your response is to get even and exclude him as he excluded you. It's just not healthy for you. You deserve better than this. You deserve to go to Mexico with a loving boyfriend who wants to be with you and doesn't lie and gaslight you.